Once upon a time, there was a charming and clever young girl who was unexpectedly sent to the countryside to live with a strange old man. During their first encounter, the elderly gentleman fiercely drove her away. The aunt who brought the girl hastily fled the scene, leaving the poor child all alone. The old man grumbled and demanded that the woman take the kid away, but the girl sorrowfully replied, "She doesn't want me either." Left with no choice, the old-timer turned around, went back inside, and shut the front door to send them off. He thought this would discourage the girl, but little Heidi persistently called out "Grandpa" from outside the door. It seemed like this little one was determined to stick with him. Heidi boldly decided to spend the night with the goats, so she unlatched the gate to their pen. The next morning at dawn, Grandpa nonchalantly walked over to the goat pen where Heidi greeted him innocently. Although Grandpa still appeared indifferent on the surface, this time there was a subtle change in his heart. He quietly scooped up a spoonful of fresh goat's milk and handed it to Heidi. Heidi initially thought Grandpa had accepted her, but little did she know, he was actually planning to pass her off to another family. Heidi realized she had gotten her hopes up too soon. Soon after, she was taken to a church down the mountain. The pastor promised to find Heidi a good home, but his words were laced with hesitation. If no one liked Heidi, she would be sent to the poorest orphanage. In the meantime, Heidi had to temporarily live with Grandpa. In fact, Heidi's parents had passed away when she was very young. Her aunt took care of her for 5 years, but ultimately chose to give up. Left with no other options, she sent Heidi to her grandfather, whom she had never met before. When the two returned to the old house on the mountain, Heidi timidly asked Grandpa if she would still have to sleep in the goat pen. To her surprise, Grandpa replied, "You can sleep wherever you like." Heidi, a pure and kind-hearted child, glanced at the small goat pen and then, without hesitation, chose the more spacious and bright house. However, her happiness seemed to come too quickly once again, because Grandpa's house was extremely basic, with only a single lonely chair and a narrow bed, not enough for 2 people to sleep in. Fortunately, Heidi discovered that the attic was filled with thick, dry hay, as if nature had prepared a cozy bed just for her. She eagerly plopped down on it, relishing the rare comfort and contentment. Even more delightful was the fact that from the attic window, she could faintly smell the fresh and warm scent of sunshine. It was as if this room had been tailor-made for Heidi. Excitedly, Heidi poked her head out from the attic and asked Grandpa, "Grandpa, I want to sleep here, on the hay. Can I?" This time, Grandpa didn't directly answer, but his silence was a form of approval in its own way. At dinner time, Heidi mustered up the courage to express her deepest thoughts to Grandpa. She didn't want to go to the orphanage. She longed for the warmth of this home and her grandfather, with whom she shared blood ties. However, Grandpa seemed hesitant and at a loss, which stirred a sense of disappointment in Heidi's heart. The next morning, sunlight poured into Heidi's little room. A goat herd's bell woke Heidi up, and she excitedly rushed outside. Today, her relationship with Grandpa seemed to have eased a bit. Heidi greeted Grandpa good morning, and he gently told her to eat her breakfast. After drinking a bowl of fresh goat's milk prepared by Grandpa, she washed her face with the clear mountain spring water. Then, she had to let the goats out. Kind-hearted Heidi even wished them a good morning. It turned out that Peter was a goat herd specially found by Grandpa to take Heidi out to graze the goats. Grandpa cut a piece of fine cheese and packed it with an exquisite ham. With that, Heidi followed Peter on a journey to the Alps. The mountain breeze felt exceptionally refreshing under the warm sun. Living in a place with babbling brooks under the bright moon and a pillow of fresh wind, one felt a bit closer to freedom. Heidi fully enjoyed all the wonders that nature bestowed upon her. The towering Alps even made her temporarily forget all her worries.